Hello everyone and welcome back to EAC, and today I'm going to be reviewing Birds of Prey, but before I officially get into this review, I just want to say that I'm very sorry for the lack of videos lately. In my last video, which was my review on Godzilla 2014, I said that I will also be reviewing Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters, kind of for the upcoming new movie Godzilla vs. King Kong, which I don't even know if that's going to be happening later this year. It might have got delayed, I'm not really sure yet. But either way, those reviews probably won't be happening anytime soon. I will do them eventually, but I'm kind of going to abandon my Monsterverse series of reviews, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Kong Skull Island. For now, again, I will go back to those eventually, but I think right now is the perfect time to review movies that came out earlier this year that I didn't get to see, including Birds of Prey, that I'm going to be reviewing in this video, and a ton of different reviews. I have a ton of movies to watch and review for you guys, so there should be more videos coming up very soon. I also have a second channel video that should be coming up very soon, which is a Blu-ray unboxing. I have not made that video yet, but I should make it in a few days, so that video should be coming out in a few days or a week on my second channel, so you can check that out. And again, you will be seeing a ton of new reviews from me very soon, starting off with this one, Birds of Prey. I did not see this when it came out, which is kind of surprising. It was before all the craziness, so I don't really have an excuse, or I couldn't see it because of it. But I really don't know why I didn't see this in theaters, because it was one of my most anticipated movies of this year, but I was able to watch it last night, and it was enjoyable. I think one of the best things about this movie is the whole mood of it. Really bright colors, the whole thing, and not only does that make sense for Harley Quinn, but I also think it was something that DC needed, because they kind of tried to introduce bright colors and everything in Suicide Squad and make it a more fun universe, kind of like the Marvel universe, instead of being dark like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Also, you kind of start to see a bit more comedy and bright colors again. They kind of introduced that in Suicide Squad and a little bit in Justice League, but I think Birds of Prey really nails it in this movie. It was something that the DC universe needed, and that obviously works for Harley Quinn as well. That goes along nicely. And Margot Robbie, who of course plays Harley Quinn in this movie, she steals every scene that she's in, and that is good because this whole movie is about her. She's great as the character, as she was in Suicide Squad. That was one of the best parts of that movie, and she is easily one of the best parts of this movie. Also, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask, he is a really great presence in this movie. He steals every scene that he's in as well. Kind of this dark comedy, over-the-top character that I think made sense in this movie. Again, with this being a Harley Quinn movie, you have the bright colors, the lighthearted tone, and just enjoyable, fun movie. And Ewan McGregor as Black Mask goes along great with that. Everything tone-wise and mood-wise with this movie just works, and I think that's one of the best things about it. And also with Black Mask again, I like how every character that we're supposed to root for in this movie, the Birds of Prey, every single one of them is interwoven into his web of crime, you could call it. And that was a really great touch, because really no one is safe from him. And that also goes on to another positive that I'll have with it later on with Harley Quinn. But every character in this film is on the run from Black Mask. And with Harley Quinn, I said I would talk about this a second ago, she obviously cuts the ties with Jared Leto's Joker in this movie. And I like how, since she does that, she is more vulnerable to everyone else who wants her dead. And one of those people is, of course, Black Mask. But it's also a ton of other people who want her dead and now have the opportunity to try to kill her now that she's not with Joker. And I like how they did that. They didn't just throw the Joker thing away like, oh, I broke up with Joker, and then move on with the movie and not really go back to it. I like how it comes back to haunt her the whole way, and of course she blows up Ace Chemicals in the end, or near the beginning actually. So I really like that about this movie. Also near the beginning of the movie, actually the very start of the movie, we have this cartoon introduction. And I would say that was pretty lazy, and it kind of was. The narration throughout the movie, I'll get into that later, that is a negative for me. But how the movie starts out with the animation, that kind of goes with the tone of the movie again. It is almost like the Harley Quinn cartoon. I don't follow the show, so I'm not really sure if it's still going on or if it ended a few years ago or when the series actually happened. But there was a cartoon series on Harley Quinn, and it kind of is animated the same way. And since that's kind of the only version we've seen Harley Quinn in besides in Suicide Squad, which is the same Harley Quinn that's in this movie, so that kind of goes together. But since the other version of Harley Quinn that we have seen is in the comics and also in that cartoon and in various other cartoons, it kind of matches up again, and that was something that I think they did well with it, because they were able to remember the source material that Harley Quinn came from. And there are also a lot of these different mannerisms that Harley does that's kind of like a cartoon throughout the movie. And I think that was good how they remembered where Harley Quinn, the character, came from, the comics and the cartoon, and how they built her up in the cartoon show is kind of how they translated it to this movie. They didn't do it that much in Suicide Squad, and I do like Harley Quinn a lot more in this movie than in Suicide Squad, so that's also a plus. But yeah, I think the whole thing with the cartoon at the beginning, not only are they showing the beginning as a cartoon, so that obviously relates to the show, but also different things throughout the movie also relate to the show. So that was another great thing with the tone that they really nailed in this movie. Again, I think that's one of the best things about it, just the fun, enjoyable mood that it has throughout the whole thing. So that was also good. The action in this movie is good when it is not the 300 style of action. Now, I like 300, the movie. I like that movie a lot. But the slow, fast-mo action bullshit in that was just staggering, and it kind of happens at different points in this movie, especially one scene in a police station when she goes in and also the sprinklers turn on, so there's a ton of water on the ground, so they obviously use slow motion for that when she's, swinging her legs and it's picking up some water particles and they're flying in the air. But it was just annoying at different parts, and I think it did ruin some action sequences if they just didn't do that and didn't have the slow-mo and then she goes fast and then slowed down again. If they didn't have that, then I think the action scene would have been better. But when they're not doing that, the action is pretty good. It's in wide shots, no shaky cam or anything like that. A lot of that good action is shown in the finale of this movie. Now, I will be getting into some spoilers. This came out a few months ago, but if you haven't seen the movie like I didn't until just last night, then I guess you should click off the video if you don't want to be spoiled. But again, this came out a couple months ago, so I feel okay to talk about it. The finale of this movie at the amusement park, again, great to go with the tone. And also, spoilers again, Black Mask's death. It is funny how they put the grenade on him somewhere, like in his pocket or something. Actually, the little girl, Cassandra Cain, puts it wherever, and then they throw him off a bridge into the water, and he blows up and goes everywhere. I think it was the perfect over-the-top death for an over-the-top character in Black Mask. The only thing about it, I feel like that was a bit too easy. They should have drawn that out a bit longer. I know we had all the action with his henchmen earlier on, but I feel like they should have had a big action sequence with Harley Quinn and Black Mask near the end of the movie. That's just me. That's a little bit of a negative, but his death overall is really funny. Again, the perfect over-the-top death for an over-the-top character like him. But now into the negatives. There were a good amount of positives with this movie, but sadly there are just about the same amount of negatives. First of all, this movie tries to be Deadpool way too much. It has narration by Harley Quinn throughout the whole thing, and they edit it in such a way that she says, "Oh, you don't know this character, let me explain the backstory to her or him," and they cut back to earlier in the movie that we didn't get to see yet, like it's a flashback kinda, and there's just way too much of that. First of all, flashbacks, and also it's sadly not edited too well together. And that was something that Deadpool did really well. They had the narration and they would cut back and forth to earlier in time to present time, and that was really well done in that movie. But in this movie, you could tell that they're trying to be like Deadpool, but they do not execute it nearly as well as Deadpool does. Also, another negative is this movie is better than Suicide Squad in my opinion, but they still have those dumbass texts on the screen that introduce a character. It shows a character like Huntress, for example, and then a big block of text comes up that says Huntress, and then it says things that Harley Quinn, or no, not with her, but people who are looking for Harley Quinn and want to kill her throughout the movie. It shows this thing that introduces them, and it says who they are and why they want Harley dead. I get why they needed to do that, so it didn't seem so out of the blue when they were just going after Harley Quinn, because at that point it would seem like for no reason if we didn't know why they were after her. So I get why they did that, but couldn't they have found a different way that didn't feel so much like Suicide Squad? Because again, I like Harley Quinn as a character much better in this than Suicide Squad, but when they keep on having these different texts on the screen that just reminds me of Suicide Squad, it reminds me of Suicide Squad, so it's not that good. And it kind of just brings you back to a time when everyone was so disappointed with Suicide Squad and how much it sucked, but they had one good thing in Harley Quinn for that movie, and then it's just weird how this is a movie about her. And even though it wants to be better than Suicide Squad, obviously, which I gave a 4.5, which is not a good grade, and again, the grade doesn't really matter. I would probably give it lower now. But Suicide Squad was not a good movie when they tried taking the best thing out of that movie and how they tried to make a solo film for it in Harley Quinn. It's just baffling to me because one of the biggest negatives about Suicide Squad is how many characters there were and how they're trying to juggle so many characters. The only way they're able to tie together was with the blocks of text. And they do the exact same thing in this movie, and it just reminds you of Suicide Squad and how shitty it was. And since it's a same character in this movie, and they even have little homages to Captain Boomerang in this movie, and of course the Joker, it just makes you hate Suicide Squad even more, and also makes you dislike this movie a bit more because it's reverbing back to something that Suicide Squad did that wasn't good, but they have it in this movie. It's just, I'm rambling, I know I am. Not enough character development as well. Harley Quinn has it, and I guess Cassandra Cain and Black Mask, maybe them, but everyone else in this movie is kind of thrown into the mix just for it to be called a Birds of Prey movie, and they're introduced with these blocks of text. I've said it over and over again, but it kind of shows how much I dislike that part of this movie. Another big negative is how Cassandra Cain, the reason why everyone is after her is because she swallowed a diamond that has messages inside it that you can look through with a monocule or something? I forget, like the thing that goes on your eye and you can look at it real close. Not microscope, but I sound so stupid right now. But the diamond has all these things written inside it, so whoever gets their hands on it, they have access to the family riches of Huntress. We don't learn that until later in the movie. It's supposed to be this big moment, but I don't know. It was another flashback, so that's kind of a bad thing as well. But so they're on the chase for this diamond that Cassandra Cain has, and she gets captured by the police at one point, and she's been stealing things from people. That's kind of her profession, you could say. She was able to steal the diamond from one Black Mask's henchmen at one point. That's how she got in the first place, and that's also another negative. The plot conveniences of how everyone is in the same place at the same time. Like, what are the odds that Cassandra Cain is walking down the street that Black Canary is on? Also, Harley Quinn is in that area as well, and she goes on the chase for Cassandra Cain, and it's just really convenient, and that's just one of the examples of plot conveniences throughout this movie. But anyway, so she steals the diamond, then she gets captured by the police because they know that she's stealing things, or something like that. Either way, she should be arrested from stealing things. And she hides everything in a cast that she has, and that's kind of smart. But what does she do with the diamond that she hasn't done with any of the other items that she stole? She swallows it. Okay, so I get it's bite-sized, and that's, I guess, one way to hide it from the police. But why is she even trying to hide it from them in the first place? They're going to see everything in her cast, and she's captured anyway, so what's the point in swallowing the diamond? I would rather just hide it where everything else is. Like, why the hell would you do that? Swallow a diamond to hide it from the police that are going to find it eventually if they put her in jail, which they do. Harley Quinn ends up breaking her out. But if she takes a shit, then they're going to see the diamond. So I don't get what the point of that was. And of course, it is the one thing that everyone in this movie is after. It couldn't have been something else like a regular jewel that didn't have messages to a family fortune that everyone's trying to find. It couldn't have been that. It had to be the diamond that everyone's after. I really don't know how the screenwriters were able to come up with that and think it was a good idea to carry the whole plot along. The whole thing is that they're after her because she has the diamond, like, in her body, and the diamond is what they want, so everyone's on this manhunt for her, and that brings in Harley Quinn and all the Birds of Prey, but it's kind of a lazy way to tie everything together, and that was definitely a big negative, because that's kind of the whole plot of the movie. Also, there are a ton of cliches that have been overused in a ton of other movies. In this movie, for example, at one point Harley Quinn is captured by Black Mask, and he threatens to cut her face off, like that's his thing, you could say. But she says, "Oh, I know where the diamond is, and I could get it to you, just let me go, trust me, I know South Gotham or something better than anyone." And it's just really a really overused cliche, and I can't believe, again, that the screenwriters came up with that and thought it was a good idea. It's like they wrote it down, and then they put it on screen, and it didn't translate the way that they thought it would. Also, later in the movie, actually at the very end of the movie, at the finale, they all team up because Black Mask and all his henchmen are outside getting ready to kill them. So Harley Quinn is like, we're all going to die anyway, so we might as well work together. There's no way we're going to beat them otherwise, because we'll all die. Again, another overused team-up trope that you've seen in a ton of other movies. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the big negatives in this. There are a lot of bad things about this movie, and it is kind of saved by the positives, in my opinion. I know a lot of other people don't like this movie that much because of a lot of the negatives that I just named, but I feel like the rest of the movie was so enjoyable to watch. I never got bored at one point. The pacing is good. The editing could use a bit better, but for the most part, it was watchable. It wasn't like I hated myself while watching this movie at any point and got really bored again. I was entertained the whole way. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the mood for this movie. I think that's what really carries it, and also Harley Quinn and Ewan McGregor are excellent in it. I enjoy Birds of Prey. I know some people might disagree with me. There are a lot of things wrong with it, but I think the good things about it kind of overpower them because those kind of fade into the background until you're really analyzing the movie like I did, because I have a ton of time on my hands. I watched this really late at night, and it's not like I was rushing to watch the movie, so I could really analyze it and pick up on the good things and the bad things. But I think the good things do kind of overpower the bad things once again, and it was enjoyable, it was fun, and for that reason, I'm going to give Birds of Prey a 7 out of 10. Let me know what you thought of Birds of Prey in the comments below if you have seen it. If not, I guess I recommend it. Again, it was a fun movie to watch. If they just didn't make a lot of those terrible decisions that they did make, then this movie would be way better. Again, leave your thoughts on this movie in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on next time. Goodbye.